Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our continuing series, Know Your City, put on by the League of Women Voters of Waltham. In the course of this series, we have been speaking with heads of departments and committees and finding out what's going on in the city of Waltham. And I am thrilled to have Chief Mullen with us this evening. Chief Mullen is the fire chief of the Waltham Fire Department.
Good evening.
Welcome, Chief.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been a Waltham fireman?
So I started my career with the fire department actually in 1996 as an intern. My management class at Bentley, I needed an internship, and Chief Keo at the time was uh, nice enough to bring me in, and I worked in the fire prevention office a little bit, and that led me into being the clerk for fire prevention. It was a part-time job, and I started my career as a firefighter in 1999, so 24 years ago. July 1st, 1999. We went to summer camp. We went to the fire academy for the summer. It was hot. And been here since, love it.
Yeah,
In terms of myself, I was born Waltham Hospital. I went to Waltham High and graduated from Bentley College at the time. So I'm a true Walthamite.
I can see that, and I find it interesting as our kids look for internships. Boy, you really turned your internship into a full career, didn't you?
Yeah, I took advantage of it. Chief Q, like I said at the time, put me in touch with Deputy Chief at the time, Cardillo, who became the chief, and Deputy Chief, and then Chief Cardillo really gave me some advice and kind of gave me a path, and I followed it, and well, here I am.
That's truly an amazing story. Now, I live on Lake Street, and down the street from me, we have a fire station,
Yep.
and I see the trucks going up and down, and that's what I know about the fire department.
Yeah,
But I
that's
know a little bit more. So, how is the department structured?
so the Lake Street, that's our Engine 7, that's our satellite station. So we have 6 stations strategically located in throughout the city. The 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 newest station
On Moody
was
Street.
built, that was added. Well, Moody Street was just redone, but when we added a new station was Engine 8 on Trapella Road, and that was in the 50s. So there were planners back then that kind of really laid out the department, the stations strategically, and it's served well for the last 60 years or so, more than that, 70 years. But so 6 stations. We run 10 companies a day. We staff 10 companies. We staff 7.
Okay, stop. What do you mean by a company?
Each individual piece of apparatus is a company. So there's engine companies and ladder companies. We have 7 engine companies, and we have 2 ladder companies. It's a ladder and a tower unit, and then we have 1 heavy rescue, and then a shift commander. So we have a minimum of 33 firefighters and officers on duty on any given shift.
Okay, and so you have firemen. You're the deputy. What do you have in between?
So the rank is it starts off chief, then the deputy chief, and then underneath him the captain, lieutenant, and then the firefighter. So
Okay.
each individual company, engine company, ladder company, has a captain and 3 lieutenants, and then firefighters assigned to it. So there's an officer assigned to it every shift.
Okay. Well, how many people are there altogether in the department?
Currently, we have 165.
Okay. How many women?
We have 1 female, and
Okay.
she's awesome. She's been on about 18 years, I think it's been now.
And how many people of color?
The actual number, I couldn't tell you. To be honest with you, we have 165 firefighters.
Okay.
Race and gender do not come into play in the fire department.
Okay. let's say that my grandson decides that they want to become a firefighter. What do they have to do?
So in Waltham, we are governed under civil service. So we are higher under civil service. So there's an eligibility entry level test. It's held in October, I believe it is. And now it's annually. It used to be every other year. They changed that a few years ago, and now it's every year. And it you take the entrance exam, you score on that, and then when we have openings, I can call civil service for a list off the eligibility list. They send out notice to the applicants, and there's a formula. It's 2n plus 1, so 2 times the number of openings plus 1. They send a list of candidates, and from that, we have an interview process, a thorough background check. And once completed that, then there's a physical test, a medical test, a psychological test. And if a candidate passes all of that, they'll get issued a conditional letter of employment. Well, then at that point, they have to go to recruit training. We currently have 12 new recruits. 6 of them are at the Mass Fire Academy right now, doing the recruit training, and then 6 are at the Boston Fire Academy. So they'll go through a recruit training program, and once they complete that, they'll be certified as a firefighter 1-2 level, according to the NFPA standards. And then once we have that, then they're eligible to work on a truck. We can't have anybody on a truck that's not certified to the firefighter 1-2 level. And we do that through the Mass Fire Academy predominantly.
How long is that training?
The 10 weeks. It's changed. It's gone from 9 weeks to 12 weeks, and right now I believe it's
10 weeks. Okay. Now, if a firefighter comes in with this initial classification, I think you said 1FP. Did I get that?
Firefighter 1-2.
Firefighter 1-2. How do they advance? How do they increase their skills? Is there ongoing training? Talk to me about that.
Oh, training is ongoing. The day you stop learning something in the fire service is the day you are not a firefighter anymore. Everything changes. There's constant training. So we have a training division within the department that's responsible for daily annual training, daily training, company training. And it varies from medical training to technical rescue training to hazmat training to actual firefighting and pump operations. So it's hundreds of hours in the course of a year that we'll do through the department. We'll bring in outside vendors. We'll bring in instructors from the fire academy. We just hosted a fire instructor 1 and a fire officer 1 class that we got a grant for. And we've trained, at the end of it, we'll have put 48 members through the instructor 1 and officer 1 training. And that'll have the vast majority of all of our officers will have that certification. And then also a lot of people that are on the promotional exam list will have it. So moving forward, people will have that knowledge.
Good. Now, I was going to ask you how many calls does the department get each day, but I'm going to switch that question a bit. What does an average shift look like for a firefighter?
So we shift our shifts. We run a 24-hour schedule. So the firefighters work 24 hours on and they have 72 hours off. So they'll come in, our shifts run 8 to 8, 8 a.m. to 8 a.m. However, most of the reliefs are 7. They're 7 or so. So it's 7 to 7. They'll come in, they check out their equipment. They have a roll call at 8:15. The company officer or the station officer, whoever it is, they'll read department memos, what's on tap for the day, whether they have inspections, training, apparatus maintenance, a whole history, basically what's going to happen during the day. Then also kind of update what's happened in the last 3 days while they were away, if there were any major incidents that need to be passed on, areas of concern. They kind of form a little briefing there. And then they do truck checks, station cleaning. There's a chore every day on top of, all the floors get mopped, the bathrooms get cleaned. And on top of that, there's one station assignment usually that needs to be completed that they do weekly. Then that rolls right into usually company training. If it's sponsored by the training division, that usually starts at 9 o'clock. We'll split the city up and we transfer trucks around to bring them into training, depending on how long that lasts. And then the second group of trucks will come. They'll do their training, whatever the topic of the day is. And if it's not the training division does, there's every Monday the training captain emails out to the department what the training schedule is for the week. And if it's not a class where the training division is doing it, it's something that the company officer will do. He'll administer that at some point during the day. They have inspections.
That's on my list.
Yep. So every business in the city gets inspected annually. That happens in the fall. Every hazardous materials facility gets inspected twice. So they'll do those in the spring and the fall. All hydrants in the city, the fire department tests all the hydrants. You'll see us out there. You'll actually see us out there next month. We'll start May 1st. There'll be notifications going out shortly to the public to let them know that we'll be out in the area. We test out every hydrant in the city, 12 to 1,400 hydrants. That's in May. Then what else do they do? Every length of hose in the department, that all gets inspected. That's an undertaking. It all gets pressure tested. They have to bring it up to certain pressures. So that's ongoing throughout the year. So a firefighter's day is very busy.
It sounds like you need that to stay in that constant state of readiness.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of things that are governed by NFPA standards and that type of stuff. So we have to keep current on all of that. And then the inspection portion of it, that's our fire prevention side.
Yeah.
The department's broken up into 3 divisions. There's suppression, fire suppression, and training. So the fire prevention, those guys handle code enforcement, permitting. They do the smoke detectors. If you sell your house, every house that gets sold in the Commonwealth has to have a smoke detector inspection. So those guys go and inspect that. So they have a lot. Any new construction, they do plan review. Yeah, so it's busy. There's a lot of moving parts.
Now, most people just have this perception that all you do is go fight fires.
Oh.
And obviously that's not the case. But how many calls do you get from the public each day, and what's the nature of those calls?
So last year we did over 9,200 calls, almost 9,300 incidents, and that translates into unit responses. I don't have that in total in front of me, but for every incident, it might be a single engine company or might be multiple companies. If it's a still, it's usually an engine company. A box gets 2 engines and a ladder. If you called up and said your house was on fire, you get 2 engines, the heavy rescue, a ladder company, and then an additional engine company responds as the rapid intervention team. That's basically a rescue crew for the firefighters working, a standby crew, if you will, and a medic truck. On any given day, I would say we're right around 50% of the calls are medicals. Every department truck, every company is staffed with a minimum of 3. And all of them are trained to the first responder level. We have 104 EMTs. We have, I think we're up to 5 or 6 paramedics and 2 nurses.
Right.
So when you call and you have fallen, you broke an ankle, you're having a heart attack. Um, the engine company is usually your closest bet, and we respond. Every truck, every company has a defibrillator, oxygen, Narcan, an EpiPen, medical supplies, so they can initiate patient care. And the vast majority of the time, the firefighters are the ones that are who are initiating patient care, and then our EMS, the city's EMS provider, is Armstrong Ambulance. They come in and um, they they have paramedic level, advanced level training. They'll take over and we'll assist them, and they transport.
So when I call 911, what happens?
You call 911, the dispatchers do a great job. They triage the call, they find out where your emergency is, what your emergency is. And based on the questions that they'll ask, um, it dictates a response. On the fire side, everything is scripted. It's alarm levels, it's responses. So they'll basically triage the call, whatever it happens to be, and then they'll dispatch the nearest and appropriate resources.
Okay.
And then we go from there.
Okay. Now, in preparation for this evening, I got on the website, the city's website.
Yes.
I saw that you handle a lot of permits. What can you tell me about them? What type of permits do you
There are
need
a
to get?
lot of permits that that go out. Have them up, and I had them up in front of me. If I can find them. So if you do go onto the city's website, and you go on to the fire department's website, there is a tab, permits and fees. Let me just bring it up so I don't want to.
Ah, there it is. Permits, feeds, and downloads.
Yep, correct. Yep. So if you go to that portion of it, that is all of our, and of course, you think I could find it? I don't. Permits, fees, and
Actually,
downloads.
I'm going to share my screen so that our audience can, in fact, see that very quickly because I was able to find it.
Yep.
Let's
And
see.
a lot of these permits are fillable right online. You can pay online, and or at least process them and then bring them into the office. But the big one that we have, smoke detectors.
Yeah, that's
Facility inspection. So that's all the daycares get inspected. Construction and renovation, there were 405, I think it was, plan reviews. There were 1,074 permits last year. 405 tent and plan reviews, and 1,562 inspections that the fire prevention office did.
my goodness.
So
Well, you have a separate division for it, a separate.
correct. Yep. So as you're going down there, the liquor license, some things that'll pop out. That liquor license inspection, coming out of the Station nightclub fire, that tragic fire, really brought to the forefront fire safety in nightclubs and bars and stuff. So in Waltham and across the state, anybody that has a liquor license, a pour license, and they have entertainment or have the potential of entertainment gets a joint inspection by the building inspector and the fire department.
Okay.
So they go out and they check for fire safety and ensure that all the fire codes are being met. Going down, blasting, if there's any blasting being done, that's all regulated. They have to have it come in with a plan. It has to meet state regulations. It's very, very regulated. I know it's a very big nuisance. There's not a lot of property left in Waltham that's not developed. The property that is has a lot of ledge and a lot of granite. So that there is blasting, unfortunately, on pretty much all now any major development right now, just because all the land that didn't need it has been developed. But that's all very regulated by the state, and we make sure that Deputy Grant is in charge of fire prevention, and he works very closely with all of the blasters and the state to oversee and make sure that they are well within the limits. And a lot of times, and I know my house shakes too. You can be far away, and they'll say, "Oh my God, that was a terrible shot," and they're doing way too much, and it's all recorded, and every day they go underneath it, and they're very low, and well within the limits. If it's not, then there's a big investigation up into the state level, and they have to report to the fire marshal's office about this. So it's very regulated, and controlled, as big of a nuisance as it is to people.
Oh, there are a number of organizations and agencies that deal with problems that arise. I'm thinking in terms of the Red Cross, IFA, and FEMA.
Yep.
How do you interact with them? What's your relation? I know there has to be a relationship. What
Yep.
is?
Yes, no, they all offer various resources, and we're partners with all of them. The other day we had a fire, and there were some displaced residents, and we contacted Red Cross, and they arranged for temporary housing. MEMA, that's the State Emergency Management Agency. In Waltham, we have an emergency management director and agency that's separate from the fire department, but we have a tremendous relationship there. We work hand in hand, and coordinate through. And so if we need state resources, we have to contact and work with them. If we need federal resources, we work with FEMA. And basically what it is the local level, we contact the state level, and the state level would contact the federal level. And we have a very good relationship with all of them.
What type of resources would you need? What would you call MEMA for? I put you on the spot there.
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to think. So a lot of people will see it, and they see flooding from hurricanes and whatnot, and a lot of that's coastal flooding, right? Correct. And so we don't have those hazards here. In Waltham, we could have. Trying to think. Well, if we had to have sheltering and whatnot, we'd go through the Red Cross with that. And again, a lot of that, everybody sees that, and where we're situated, we do not. Thankfully, we don't run into that.
Yes.
The need for it as much as a coastal community that has flooding. Our flooding is localized to right around the river, and it doesn't come. It's not flooding entire sections of the city. We do have flooding, but the impact is minimal compared to what you see on the TV, on the local news. When you're talking about like Situate or Marshfield, where the ocean comes in and floods out, whole sections of the town. Or on the federal level, when like the whole state of Florida, gets wiped out by a hurricane.
Hurricane, yeah.
Yeah, our stuff is a lot more localized.
What type of coordination, if any, is there between communities? Do you ever work together with Arlington or Belmont or Newton or whatever, or if there's a very large?
Yes. So no city outside of Boston can handle a major fire. The Cooper Street fire.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. Out of my head. That's what I was thinking.
A perfect example. Okay. So Waltham is part of Metro Fire. That's a mutual aid system that we are part of. So if you look on a map, 128, all the communities inside of 128, the 32, 34 communities inside of 128 comprise Metro Fire. And there's a 10 alarm running card, and it is scripted out. if I strike a second alarm in Waltham, we get a Weston engine, a Newton engine, a Belmont engine, a Newton ladder, and a Lexington ladder. I'm sorry, a Watertown ladder to come in and cover. It's all automatic. And that happens all the way through 10 alarms. And then if we exhaust that, that's basically exhausting the whole inside of 128 belt, which that Cooper Street fire did. There's a fire mobilization plan, and that's for the whole entire state. And if you remember the tornado that went through Springfield a number of years ago, Waltham sent an engine. I actually was on it, and we went to Springfield as part of that mobilization. It's all very coordinated and very scripted. Now, Metro Fire, the system we are in, the Metro Chiefs meet monthly. I had a Metro Chiefs meeting this morning, and we coordinate and talk about all the hazards that we're facing and how we're going to tackle them and what's coming on, how we can coordinate efforts and support each other. So it's a fantastic support network.
What's the best thing about your job?
Working with the people.
Which people?
All the people, the citizens, the department. We have a great staff here. Waltham is very fortunate. The mayor and the council have been huge supporters of public safety, and it shouldn't go unnoticed by the citizens. The support that they give us, and they give us the right tools and the right funding to provide the necessary services to protect the community. So every day is different. That's probably the best part of my job. Every day is different.
If you could change anything, what would you change?
Not much.
Well, that's an interesting question, since so much of what your work environment is so highly structured.
It is, but it's changing. Waltham's changing, right? We have just in my time with the department, the amount of runs that we go on a daily basis has grown tremendously.
Why is that? Do you know?
Population
Okay.
growth. You just look at what's going along 128. That's a huge undertaking and an impact on our department. The number of labs that are going in, a lot of office spaces being converted to labs, it increases our risk. So we have to stay on top of it. And there's a lot to that. So with proper staffing, proper equipment, proper planning, we'll stay ahead of the curve. But aside from that, just the population has changed. The number of housing units that have gone in. I mentioned the Cooper Street complex, the 40B complex that just went up on Second Ave and Bear Hill Road. That'll be coming online in the next couple of months. There's a 40B project being built on Winter Street. In the last few years, thousands of units have been introduced into the city, and it's an impact on us and our services.
Well, I'm not sure that I got the answer to my question. If you could change anything, what would you change?
Really not. I have great staff, so I wouldn't change that. Right now, the biggest thing that I could change is our apparatus. We have a lot of maintenance issues right now, but that's not unique to Waltham. You've seen it on the news. They've had a couple of ambulances that have been out of service for months and months. That's my biggest challenge right now is keeping the trucks maintained and running and safe and being reliable. So.
One last question.
Sure.
What did I forget to ask you?
What did you forget to ask me?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. You've asked a lot.
Well, I'd like people to know what you're, I mean, if we're going to do these interviews,
Yep.
I'm stuttering a bit now because I'm so amazed at how little some of our residents know about anything that goes on in the city. And you provide not just important, but essential services.
Mhm.
And the purpose of sitting here and speaking with you is to expand people's knowledge so they can truly appreciate what a gem our fire department is, and to continue to support you.
I think that the citizens should know that they have 166 or 165 right now, dedicated employees and firefighters that are willing, ready, and able to provide all hazard service and mitigation to them in a time of need. And we are up to the task, and we look forward to it. Hopefully, we never go out. Right? That's the goal, is to never go out the door.
Mhm.
The truth of the matter is, we go out somewhere between 25 and 35 times a day on average. And somebody needs some type of assistance, whether it's a lockout, a medical emergency, a fire alarm sounding, a CO call, uh, or a building fire. Um, the guys, and by the guys I mean the firefighters, they're ready, willing, and able.
Well, Chief Mullen, I can't tell you how delighted I am that you've joined us, and what a wonderful half an hour this has been speaking with you. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And anytime anybody wants to know anything about the fire department, feel free, stop in, say hi to the station. Guys can answer questions.
Okay.
Well,
Thank you.